In this video, I'm going to demonstrate how you can enter data into a spreadsheet and then import it into R. In this example, I'm going to use Excel as an example, but you could also use Numbers, which is an Apple product, or you could use a spreadsheet found in Google Docs. Now, I'm going to base this demonstration on the discussion on pages 52 through 57 in the Auerbach and Zeitlin book, Making Your Case. So when I discuss variable names, you could find the definition of those names on page 53 of the textbook. So to begin with, our spreadsheet has columns and it has rows. For the purpose of using it with R, we will define the columns as variables and the rows as subjects. So we're going to then type the variable names in the first row, and that will define our columns. So I like to begin with an ID, and then the next variable we'll enter is gender, and then age in years, and then we'll enter in job as job title, that is. Notice that I used all lowercase letters because R distinguishes between upper and lowercase letters, and I tend to make less errors when I just use lowercase numbers. So now we're ready to enter in the data, and the first column I always refer to as the ID, and I'll assign a number to each subject. We're only going to type in 5 subjects, so 1, and then gender as defined on page 53. 1 represents female and 2 represents male. So in this case we'll have a female who is 23, and then their job title, which is also defined on page 53. Possible job titles are 1 for administrator, 2 for direct service, and 3 for clinical. So let's make them a direct service worker, and then ID 2. Their gender would be a 2, which would be male, and let's also give them an age of 45, and let's see that they're an administrator, which would be a 1, and the next person 3, and female, and 37, let's say, and also an administrator, and person 5, actually person 4, but it's in row 5. Give them a gender of 1 for female, and they're 25, and they are a direct service worker, which is 2, and person 5, a female, and who is 31 and is a clinical worker, number 3. Okay, now that we're finished, we need to save the data set in a special format called CSV. So in Excel you would click on File, and then you would click on Save As, because you want to change the name of the you want to change the name of the file type to CSV, and here it is. You would click on File Type. It's already set to CSV, so I'm going to click on CSV, and I'm going to give it the title Workers, and then I'm going to save it on my desktop as workers, and I'll click on save. And now it's going to ask me if I want to continue, and it's questioning the format. I'm just going to click on continue, and now it's saved as workers.csv. So now I'm going to open up my R version of R, and then I'm going to close my Excel. I'm going to quit Excel so there's no conflict, and I'm not going to save it again because I want to keep it as a CSV, so I'll click on don't save. Alright, now I'm ready to go, and I'm ready to import it. If you turn to page 57 of the textbook, it shows you how you can open or how you can import the data. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a vector. I'm going to call it workers instead of worker, as it's in the textbook. And then I put in the symbol, which is a less than and dash, and then I'm going to use the read.table function in R, followed by another function called the file.choose function. Notice there's a double parenthesis after it, and then after the double parentheses I'm going to put in a comma, and I have to tell R that there's a header. Right, that first column where we define the variables is our header, and I'm going to type in equals equals true, all capital, and we are using a separation between variables. We're going to be using a comma, so I'm going to use a separation command, sep equal, and in between literals I'm putting in the comma, and now we're ready to go. So I'll hit enter. Let me just double check that command. It looks okay, and hit enter, and I get a flyout to navigate. That file.choose was put in there to create this navigation. So I'm going to go to my desktop, and here it is, workers. Okay, so workers is now in that vector workers, and if I click on it, I get a spreadsheet, and this is exactly what we typed in. So now that we have the data in front of us, we can get ready to actually run some analysis. So for example, you could bring up the hmis command, which you hopefully have installed, and loading that package, and I'm going to get the percentage of males and females. So we're going to use the describe command. I'm going to type in describe. Now remember, the hmis is used for dealing with categorical data like job and gender. So also, again, I'm going to have to use the name of the file, which is workers. In this case, right now, it's a vector. By the way, a vector is just something in R that contains information. Think of it as a file cabinet. And in this case, it's actually containing an entire data set. Alright, so now I'm going to type in gender. I'm going to by clicking on it. And here we get our 80% for female and 20% for male. So we could do the same thing for job. So I'm just going to press up the up arrow, which will bring back the former command, and now I'm going to type in job. And here we go. So we have 1, 2, and 3. So we have 2 administrators, we have 2 direct service workers, and 1 clinical worker. And then we have 40%, 40%, and 20%. It's that simple. Now I'm going to close the HMIS, and I'm going to open up the psych function to get a mean of age, and I'm going to use the describe function and psych, and I'm going to do the same thing again. Type in workers and then $, and select age, and there we go. Our mean is 32.2. Now when you're done entering your data, you're probably going to want to save your work. So you could turn to page 59 of the text. There's a command save, and basically going to be typing in the same exact thing, except we're going to change worker to workers. Before you do that, it's a good idea to go up to the RStudio menu, select session, and then select set working directory to where you want to save your data. So I'm going to click on set working directory and then choose directory, and I'm going to save it to my desktop, and click on open. Now I'm ready to write in the command. I'm going to type in save and open paren, the name of the vector, which is workers, and then a comma, and the file name we're going to use. I tend to use the same file name that I opened it up with in terms of creating a vector. Okay, and so inside parentheses I'll put in the name workers period R data, and then I'm going to hit enter. Okay, and now we have the data saved. So I'm going to demonstrate to you how you can reopen the data set. You only have to save it once, and then it's in R, and you could open it up using regular RStudio. So I'm just going to get out of, well, I don't have to really get out of RStudio. I could just erase it by using this command here. I'm sorry, this icon here, which looks like a broom, and that will remove it. I'm going to remove the spreadsheet. Then I'm going to click on File and Open File, and just like you'd open a regular R file, because it's now a regular R file, I'll open it. It asks me for, I want to bring it in, and there it is, right? Safe and sound. And you can, again, start analyzing your data. Okay, that's the demonstration for today, and I'm going to exit out. And again, when I exit out, I click on Quit RStudio, and it asks if I want to save. I'm going to click on Don't Save, and there we go.